everyone. For those of you who've joined us, we're just waiting perhaps 30 more seconds to get started. But in the meanwhile, I just wanted to welcome all of you to the fourth session of this Communities of Practice on the Power of Parents. In all of our previous sessions, I think one topic and theme that came up consistently was around engaging fathers. So super excited to have that conversation with all of you today. And before we get started into the agenda for the session, I just wanted to spend some time to get to know you a little better, to take some time to connect. So as we're waiting for others to come in, if in the chat you could very quickly share your name, where you're joining from, a feeling that you're feeling today, and a fun, imaginative question around if you could gift one tool to every caregiver that you work with, what would that be? I will also be reading some of your responses on chat. Tejaswini's also left the questions on in the chat, if that's easier for you to refer to. But as others are writing down their responses, I can maybe share something out loud instead of writing it on chat, because I've already thought about this question. So I'm Priyanka. I am from the Global Schools Forum, and I'm also going to be your facilitator for the day. A feeling that I'm feeling today is just, I guess, joyful, energetic, because it's the eve of the International Day of Play. So happy IDOP to all of you, to the children and the caregivers that you work with. And if I could gift one tool, I think it would be something like a confidence mirror, metaphorically speaking, something that parents look at and they can see how much they already add to the lives of their children and how they're already co-creators in the learning journey of their kids. And that they should feel confident regardless of the traditional education backgrounds that they have. And also that's a learning I've had through this learning series. So I think that is something that I would perhaps gift caregivers. Hi, Caroline. Hi, Calston.
Hi, I'm muted. Hi, how are you? How is everyone?
Very well. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
So lots of people feeling happy and great. That's amazing. Awesome. I think it'd be great if you can keep your responses coming in. And I'm reading lots of fun, interesting, happy feelings. Yeah, please, if you also want to just share the responses to the third answer, I think that'd be interesting to read as well. But yeah, keep building on each other's responses, and I'll keep monitoring the chat, but I'm just going to get us moving in the interest of time. A quick introduction about GSF for those of you who are new. I'm sure everyone's familiar with the work, but for those who have not engaged with GSF as much, the Global Schools Forum is a collaborative community, an innovation accelerator, and a partnerships builder for non-state organizations working to improve education at scale for underserved children in low and middle income countries. Currently, we have 174 organizations that are a part of our network, working across 71 countries, impacting close to 134 million children through roughly 1.3 million schools. A little bit about this learning series. So with support from the MC2H Foundation, GSF has been running this Communities of Practice on Power of Parents, or COPPOP as we like to call it. This is really a learning series that tries to reimagine parents as equal partners in the learning journey of their children, especially with children who are in early and primary years. the session is currently in its fourth theme. We've in the past done 3 other sessions. One looked at parental confidence. The second one looked at community-led parenting models. The third session looked at strengthening relationships between parents, communities, classrooms, and schools. And today we're going to be talking about engaging fathers. If you've missed any of the previous sessions, we are just going to drop a link in the chat with all the previous takeaways, recordings of the session, and all the reference material that we use. So you can refer to it at a time that is convenient to you, and you can catch up on everything that we have covered. And on the fifth session, we actually planned this for to be a 4-session learning series, but we have added a 5th session, and this is largely due to the overwhelmingly positive feedback that we received from all of you, and a suggestion to add one lightly structured virtual session where we take in everything that we have learned from the session so far. And really think through and brainstorm as a community, what do we want to do next. So we've added a 5th session, which is on 1st of July, which is really going to be a participatory design sprint to really articulate the way forward for us as a community of practitioners who are interested in this field. I'll send you a calendar block for this shortly after this call, and also will send you more details on what we're going to be covering in this session. So with that, the objectives for today's session are fourfold. We are first going to be talking about just why it's important to engage fathers. We're then going to talk about the barriers that limit fathers' participation in parenting engagement programs. We are then going to be hearing from our peers around ideas and strategies that can make parenting programs more father inclusive. And then towards the end, we are going to be articulating just what support do we need in our own programs to make programs more father inclusive. The agenda is very straightforward. We've also used a similar structure in the previous sessions. So we're going to have 2 peer learning circles. One is going to be from Lake Region Development Program, LRDP, which is based in Kenya, and the other one from Tanzania, Early Childhood Education and Care TECEC team that has been working in Tanzania towards making their parenting programs more father inclusive. We are going to have 2 group sense-making sessions, either in small group or in large group, where we're going to look at just what challenges are holding us back from making our programs more father inclusive. And we're also going to be talking about just way forward and solutions and support that we need to engage more fathers within our parenting programs. We also have time for Q&A, and then we have some time for closing and wrap up. A couple of housekeeping points very, very quickly. The session is being recorded, and we will send the link to this session along with takeaways and any reference material after the session. We also have time for Q&A towards the end, like I just said, but please feel free to use the chat to ask any of your questions or reflections or thoughts as the presenters are presenting too. We actually highly encourage you to do that as opposed to waiting towards the end of the session for Q&A. We also, if possible, would like to invite you to turn on your camera. It'd be nice to see your faces, but only if your internet bandwidth allows for it and if you feel comfortable with that. We will be using Mentimeter for one poll today. So if you can keep another phone or a browser tab handy, that would help us when we get to that. We also, like I said, we have group discussions. So if you're able to join into these breakout group discussions and participate, we'd love for that to happen, because that's where most of the discussions happen and synergies are found. So would love for you to stay back and join into the group discussions. And at the end, as always, we will have a short poll to gather your feedback. Your responses so far has been immensely helpful for us in making this learning series better. So would be great if you can stay back and take the poll at the end. Awesome. Let's start off the session with that. We'll start off by first hearing from you on your experiences and try to get a sense from you on what what's sort of like working and not working when you are trying to think about engaging fathers in your parenting program. So we'll do this over Menti. There are 3 ways to get on Menti. You can either directly scan the QR code or go to the website, enter the code, or use the web link. We've also dropped all of that information on the chat. As you are getting yourself onto Menti, I'm also going to switch my screen so we can start off with our 3 reflection questions. Awesome. So our first question is a little bit of a reflective question. Here we want you to really think about conversations that you've had or with fathers in your programs through either in-person conversations or conversations through workshops or through home visits, and really try and articulate just how do you think fathers in your community describe their role in children's learning. Sorry, I realized the screen is not sharing, so I'm going to reshare it again. Let me know if you are not able to see the screen. But the question is, how would fathers in your community describe their role in children's learning? We're starting to get some responses. So we're getting some responses around parents, fathers reporting it to be a demanding task. They see their role around paying fees. There's interest, but engagement is very little. They provide some support with homework, but largely towards paying school fee. So we are seeing responses around how fathers play with children. There's interest, but engagement sometimes is high, sometimes is not present. But also that fathers just see their role primarily as a financial provider for education for their children. We are getting some more responses in. There's also someone who said fathers describe their role as sort of playing with children and watching movies. So there's some engagement again present there. But largely, I think I'm seeing 2 categories of responses. One is around sort of just playing at home, and the second one is around sort of just paying fees, which is around just acting as a financial provider for education of children. I'm going to move us forward to the next question. So if fathers were to be more involved in the program, and not one-time engagement, but like really engaged in sort of your program, what would change as a result? Do you think children will learn differently? Do you think there will be changes in household dynamics? Mothers will feel supported? Will you design your program differently? So just curious to hear from you on what do you think would change in your programs if fathers engaged more? So there's definitely some change that you will see in how children are expressing themselves, on motivation. I guess I'm assuming this is for children again. Just point around better quality, more focus, more seriousness, more motivation. So just lots of things that we see will change in learning of children if father were more involved. Awesome. And then very quickly then, if this is very important, how ready do you think is your own program to engage fathers on a scale of not at all to extremely? Again, just a space for reflections, no judgment. This is a very, very new area. So curious to hear from you on where all of you think your programs are at and where can we come in and support. So we have an average of 4 right now. Would love to hear from people on chat as well, what you're doing and if there are any links to the work that you have done in engaging fathers. That's taking this average to a 4, which is quite amazing to see. But would love to hear more from all of you on what you're doing and what you're learning. Amazing. I think we stop at a 3.9 then, which is pretty good. Awesome. So thank you, I think, for sharing those reflections. They were super helpful, and we're going to be revisiting some of this during the session today. So thank you for sharing that. On that note, I am now going to just pass it on to our 2 peer presenters for the day. We're very thrilled to have Peter and Elizabeth to join us today. They're both leading efforts, like I had mentioned earlier, in making their programs more father inclusive. Peter's working in Kenya and is going to bring us lots of interesting learnings from there. And Elizabeth is going to bring learnings and innovations from Tanzania. And we're very excited to have you here to get us started on this very important and much anticipated conversation. So thank you, Peter and Elizabeth, for your time in planning this and for being here to present some of this learning with us today. On that note, Peter, I'm going to pass it on to you first to introduce your team, your organization, and then specifically to talk about this topic. Over to you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Priyanka, and thank you very much, Tim, for the initial discussions that have been shared. I'm Peter Shikuku, and I'm the CEO and Program Coordinator of Lake Region Development Program. In our discussions today, we'll be joined by Mercy Sitawa. We have Karlstorp Okoth, and then we have Grace Boke. They are our colleagues who are implementing in different counties. As an organization, we are in western part of Kenya, in Homa Bay, Migori, and Kisii counties. And the colleagues that I've mentioned will be with us during the breakout sessions as we share about the involvement of men. Lake Region Development Program is one of the organizations that was supported in the Impact at Scale Lab by GSF. And we have been implementing the program since the beginning of the year. However, for purposes of male engagement, we have had parenting sessions. We did a pilot in Rusinga Island. We are currently implementing a nurturing care grant in Homa Bay. And we're also doing caregiving parenting sessions in both Homa Bay, Migori, and Kisii. So the discussions and the experiences which we are going to share today are from these three scenarios, from the pilot which we did in Rusinga Island, the nurturing care parenting sessions, which we are currently in the second year of the 3-year grant in Homa Bay, and then the caregiving sessions, which we have been supported by GSF in all the 3 counties. So my colleagues will be there also to respond to some of the questions that may arise. If we can share, Priyanka. So as we engage men, we have noted from the experiences that we have had that first of all, men need reassurance. It's a group of people that we feel they are forgotten in matters caregiving, in matters parenting. In as much as men are, we are in a patriarchal society, men make most of the decisions, but somehow we feel they feel from their experiences that they are not taken seriously in terms of parenting, and they are not recognized. In one of the experiences we had in Rusinga, we had a parent, a male caregiver, who escorted his wife to the clinic. But when they get to the clinic, he is left to stand by the tree as the wife takes the child to the clinic and the other offices. So they feel that if they are doing that, then the man is not being taken seriously in terms of what they are doing. So that's one of the challenges that we noted, and the men feel they need to be taken very seriously. There is quite a lot of disconnect in terms of the emotional connection with the children, majorly because of the hostility that men receive from the community. In the community where we come from and where we are working, if a man is seriously taking care of children and doing that, the community feels that he has been overpowered by the wife. And so he's not doing that out of his own will, but he's probably doing that because he has been coerced, or he has been forced, or the wife has done something to the man. So there is that hostility, there's that cultural bias that needs to be looked into. The other aspect that we note is that as a man, they need to balance between caregiving and between providing. So they have these 2 key roles. And in the areas where we come from and where we are working, the man is the main provider. Yes, the woman will provide, but majorly the man is relied on to provide. So they have to balance. They have to strike a balance of, yes, I'm working, I need to provide, but I also need to have work, to have time to caregive and to be with my child. And not just having time, but having quality time, interacting more with the child. An example is in part of some of the economic activities our men are engaged in is fishing. And the man would want to go fishing in the lake for the whole night and come back during the day, rest, and then proceed with the other engagements later on. So he has to balance, even if he's resting, but he has to balance and see where can he be able to have time with the child and time with the family. So we need to have spaces where men are able to express themselves, where men are able to talk and find themselves in the life of their child. We understand that a man should come to the life of the child even when the child is still in the womb. That's when bonding starts. So, but most of the time, the man may not be there, or the man may not be available to support that. Next. So, like I've mentioned, there are quite a number of stigma. The photo of the man here is just in one of our programs in Rusinga. But they say they pass through, they face a lot of criticisms and judgments. So if a man is like our brother here taking care of the child, giving her porridge, giving her tea. They are not allowed then to interact freely with their colleagues. They are not allowed to sit. And even if they sit, some of the community members will be ridiculing them. They'll be judging them unfairly and saying, that's not your work. Why are you taking over responsibilities that belong to somebody else? But as we understand with the sessions and with the trainings, this is really what is supposed to be. I mentioned earlier in our experience that fathers sometimes feel excluded. They feel left out in scenarios where they should be. Some of male caregivers, for example, if they take their wives to the maternity to deliver, they are not allowed to enter the maternity rooms. They are not allowed to go in. So yes, they'll take them there, but they'll have to sit somewhere else. They'll have to sit outside and not be able to support them. So these traditional gender roles, these stereotypes, have really undermined the confidence, in as much as quite a number of men would really want to be engaged, to be involved, but they feel that stigmatization really makes them to shy off. So we need to have knowledge. One other part is lack of knowledge from professionals to make fathers involved. So what we are saying here is even people in government offices, people in positions, men who are in positions, do not have this information, do not have this knowledge. They do not understand that they need to come in the life of the children at an early stage. In one of our sessions, when we were discussing with the senior government officers, they were telling us they did know that they need to be, for example, to start speaking to your child when he's still in the womb in the 3rd trimester. They didn't know that they need to start to have quality time with the child. When you get home, that 1 hour, the 2 hours that you have, you don't stick on the phone. You don't stick on the television set. But are you having some quality time? Are you listening? Do you have compassion? Are you able to go through your child's homework? Are you able to see what they did? Are you able to open up so that the child can be able to speak? So some of the things that we were suggesting is we need to normalize further involvement in caregiving practices. And one of the things that we can be able to do is even to talk about, to involve people who are in leadership or people who are influential to speak and also demonstrate about caregiving so that the other men can also be able to see that, yes, this is something that is okay. And then we need to sensitize professionals, like we have said, about the need to, for the father's presence, to remove the barriers, to remove the obstacles that are there. Even if you are a president, you are a governor, you are a member of parliament, but yes, you need to sit with your child, you need to be there. And then we also need to have some free space where fathers can be able to express themselves without being criticized. And this we noted in some of the sessions that we were doing. Some of the sessions we are having mixed caregivers, both male and female, but of course the male will be few. Those few male caregivers were being criticized. So in one of our sessions, we deliberately established a male-only caregiver so that they can be able to express, they can be able to share and discuss what is affecting them and chart a way forward, and also be able to encourage the others. So we need to have diverse caregiving roles. We can have such events. We can have discussions in the media, discussions in the radio, people speaking about the role of men in caregiving. Next, please. So some of the program design considerations that we are thinking is, first of all, you schedule the time that is appropriate with the men. So let the men tell you, for us, we want to do our sessions at this particular time. if they want to do it in the evening and not very late in the evening, they'll be able to guide you and tell us this is the best time for us to engage, which is flexible enough. And then we can have men like various activities, various bonding activities, be they sports, be they fathers events, be they any events, any engagements that we'll have will involve them. So we attach the message and the information on parenting through these events. Yes, as we are playing football, as we are doing athletics, but we also take that opportunity to share and discuss more about parenting. So we also said we need to co-design the parenting sessions with the input from the fathers. So we need to get their opinion, we need to get their views. There are quite a number of sessions that we can do, and such sessions include the male's caregiver well-being. What is it that causes stress to them? How can they overcome stress? How can they be able to better support the mother and the child? So these are things that we need to co-design together with the men. And then also in designing this, we need to be inclusive. There are men who have who are widowed or their wives died. There are men who are probably have special needs, but they have children to take care of. So as we design our programs, we put that into consideration and also ensure that we share the content with them that is appropriate to those groups. Next, please. So some of the self-care approaches in high-stress caregiving situations, we are saying that fathers should recognize stressful areas, for example, financial pressure, co-parenting, and others. So we note sometimes the burden, the pressure, the stress that comes. If there's no food, there's no food in the house, there's no fees to be paid, there are quite a lot of pressures that come with them. But as fathers, they need to recognize all these pressures, they need to recognize all these situations and work out in a way that does not affect the child, does not affect the mother. Sometimes the man, if is too much under pressure, he'll transfer that pressure and that stress to the child and to the mother of the child. So we also encourage self-care through support networks where fathers can share their experiences. And I think I've just mentioned about that we have a forum, we have an opportunity where they can be able to share their experiences and see how is the other father handling the situation that is there. How is the other family addressing the issue that is there. Some of the challenges that our fathers were sharing is they have not bonded with their children for a long time. And that bond, because they did not, their children have bonded well with their mothers. And even when they get jobs, when they get employment, when they get money, the children only incline themselves to their mothers. They send their mothers money. They give support to their mothers. Why? Because they didn't bond with their fathers, or the father sometimes was out of their life. So we are using these examples to share and to encourage our male caregivers to bond early and to be in the life of these children. One experience, one male caregiver was sharing with us that his family, his son moved to the US. And when he moved to the US, he called the mother to go and stay with him in the US and told the father to take care of the home back at home. So he did call both of them. So the father is at home, he's taking care of the home, but the wife has gone to stay with his son in the US. So we are saying this is happening because the father did not bond. There was no bonding, and there was no that attachment with the son. And then there is also mental health sessions targeting fathers and having father-focused workshops. This is deliberate to have mentorship sessions, mental health sessions, just having experts on mental health to come and speak to the fathers. Why? Because most of the issues that fathers have, they do not share easily. They do not express easily. And you will just see in actions, some taking their lives, some taking the lives of the children, or some doing things that otherwise they would not have done. So with the sessions, with the mental health sessions, and also having focused workshops. Focused workshops are workshops specifically for men, where they have opportunity just to speak about the issues by themselves. And also, as we talked about, physical activities, which help the male caregivers to manage stress. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Just opening up for any quick reflections from the group or any questions that you may have for Peter before we move on to the group work.
Hello.
Yes, Augustine, go for it.
Yes, sorry for joining late. I was doing attending to some other administrative issues relating to our project. I want to thank my colleague, Peter, for such a wonderful presentation, looking at focusing on fathers to see how we can really explore the role of fathers in supporting their children's education and well-being. My question here is that, or maybe it's a clarity, looking between the urban setting and that of the rural setting. We have fathers in the rural setting that have maybe 2 wives or more than 2 wives. So how can we engage those type of fathers with that kind of large extended families to ensure they focus on their children's education and well-being?
And I got, sorry, it just started raining here, but you can hear me?
I can hear you, Peter.
Thank you very much, Augustine. We work in majorly rural settings. The caregivers and our implementation is in the rural setup. But for the fathers who have more wives, who are in polygamous families, we want to encourage such fathers to share with their colleagues that yes, you are in a polygamous family, but you have to take responsibility of the children equally. That if you, and I want to believe probably if you have to create quality time, that create quality time with each of your children. One of the challenges that we see is sometimes fathers in such a situation would tend to abandon one of the houses or take more time in one of the houses as opposed to the other. But we are encouraging them and teaching them that the children that are in both of your families require you. That the 0 to 3 years, that if you stay, if you are able to bond, if you are able to be there for each of the children, then it will help that particular child. And we are not saying that the fathers should go and stay in each of those houses 24 hours in a day. No, we are saying that for the short time, even if it is 1 hour, even if it is 30 minutes, even if it is 2 hours, that you are in that family, you give that family, you give that child quality time. Quality time means that you have time to listen to the child, you have time to see what they are doing in education, you have time to see, to look at their books, you have time to help them make some decisions, you have time to listen to those children. So we encourage the caregivers, those who are in such a situation, to at least create that quality time for each and every family and each and every child.
Thank you, Peter, for sharing that and for surfacing just in general through your presentation some of the underlying tensions around fathers wanting to show up as caregivers, but facing stigma or just lack of support and sometimes being unintentionally being excluded by program design. For the larger group, I think it's a good moment to just take a pause and turn inward to reflect on some of these issues in our own work. We'll now move into a smaller group discussion to unpack the challenges we face in engaging fathers in parenting programs. We will do this, like I said, in small groups, and we will have in each group, we will put 4 participants and 1 facilitator from GSF, TECEC, and the LRDP team. We have also developed a note-taking template, which we are going to share quickly in the chat to guide your conversation and capture key discussion points. Please make sure that you are able to access the note-taking template before you go into your room. And we'll be exploring 3 questions and roughly spend about 3 to 4 minutes per question in our smaller breakout group discussions. When we come back to the main room, we'll do a quick whip around to hear 1 key reflection from each group. So please assign a speaker or someone who will summarize the discussion on chat. The 3 questions are, we're going to put it on chat, but I'm also just going to share my screen very quickly to show you that. The 3 questions are around 1, just what are the challenges you're facing in your context? The second question is around categorizing those challenges. I've given 3 categories, but please feel free to add more categories as you see fit. And third is just which barrier seems most challenging to address. We'll now move you into the breakout groups. Please join the discussion and we'll see you back in the main room in about 12 to 13 minutes. But please make sure that you have access to the note-taking template or your facilitators in the group have access to the note-taking template. See you soon and happy chatting. For everyone in the main room, you would have received an invite to join one of the breakout groups. If you are not able to see that, could you please let us know?
Have you all gotten the notification? We are going in. A couple of rooms are already, people have joined. Mercy, can I request you to, so one of Mercy has gone. I think she's joined with 2. Case, Patrick, Edgar, could you please join your rooms? Like I'm also just pausing. Just need to. Mhm.
I think everyone is back to the main room. Can we have maybe two groups just share one key reflection from your discussion? And if I could request other groups to just summarize on chat, what were some of the things that you talked about? Any volunteers? Otherwise, if any of the facilitators who were assigned to those rooms, if you could just very quickly share one key reflection. I'd love to hear from at least two groups. Peter,
Thank you,
start you.
Priyanka.
Can I go?
Okay. Augustine wanted to go.
Oh, it's actually Mpome.
Yes, please, go ahead.
Yes, okay. So in our group, we discussed the first question around what challenges we face in our context involve fathers and parental engagement programs. And the two that we identified were cultural biases and how men are socialized. Men generally limit their parenting to providing and leave the nurturing work to the mothers. So even being involved in these parenting engagement programs, they think that it's not something that is for them, forgetting that also even providing is part of parenting as well. But they see parenting programs especially as something that is for mothers. Obviously, it comes from culture, and so if we were to categorize that, it would be a social cultural issue, just like the fact that society has these stigmas around parenting and seeing fathers engaging in parenting work. Even when men want to contribute, they get ridiculed for doing work that is considered feminine. And this ridicule doesn't just come from society, it also can come from their partners when they don't actually even encourage or even allow men in some cases to be involved in some of the parenting work. Thank you.
Thank you for sharing that. Peter, you want to build on to that very, very quickly in less than a minute. Thank you.
Hello.
Oh, hi. Yes, Augustine. I'm assuming you were a part of the same group.
Augustine will go because we're in the same group.
Yes, we are supposed to present before them because we are in the first group, but anyway, we can still take it that way. The question one, myself and Peter, we critically take a look at it and we summarize it to be, it has to do with some cultural mindset of our people, more especially within the context we are working in the rural setting. There is this cultural belief and values that when it comes to child care, they now have that mindset, that fixed mindset that it is the role of mothers and not their own role. And from the religious point of view, even within the Muslim setting, they have that belief that when it comes to child care, it is not the role of men, but the role of women. And when it comes even to decision making around that particular issue, so centered around the children, the women are always behind. They always look at, oh, as long as our men are there, whatever they are going to say about this child or whatever decision they are going to take, we stand to support them. So largely, it has to do with cultural and social aspect of their belief that the caring of children at that stage from 0 to 3 years or above 3 years, it is largely the responsibility of women and not them. So that is what myself and Peter discuss. Peter, can you come in?
Yeah. Yeah, no, thank you so much, Augustine, for sharing that. I think it seems like both the groups talked about the socio-cultural aspect of the barrier. It seems like it's less structural, even though in our group we talked a little bit about just fathers working long hours, etc., which also acts as a barrier. But it seems like largely from the two groups that we heard, the challenge seems to be more on the socio-cultural side. Would also love to hear from other groups on chat. Peter, do you have anything to add? We're almost at time for this section, but very, very quickly, if you have any last minute quick reflections.
Thank you very much, Priyanka. And as the first group presenter, and even I know the other colleagues, social cultural issues is one of the areas that we need to focus in. And we were just thinking around how to start breaking these social cultural barriers. One of the suggestions we are proposing is to engage dignitaries, influencers, and people who have decision making. Like we start by sharing with these people. We start imparting that information to them, and then gradually people will start changing. So if, for example, we speak to the governor in our county, a deputy governor, a member of parliament, and ask him to come and speak about male involvement, even in the radio, in the TV, people will gradually start saying that, yes, this is what we have been doing, but eventually these are the things that we need to do. So that's an area that we can focus on and utilize so that we break the barriers and men can be involved.
Thank you, Peter. We're going to talk a little bit more about some of those solutions in the next section, but just thank you for getting us started on that thinking. In the interest of time, I'm going to move forward. Thank you everyone for engaging in your breakout group discussions. We're now going to hear from the TECEC team. We have Elizabeth who's going to take us through some of their innovations and learnings. Over to you, Elizabeth, to take us through this section of the presentation. You should be able to share your screen, but if you're not able to, please let me know.
Thank you, Priyanka. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can. You'll just have
Yes.
to put it in present mode. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, my name is Elizabeth Joseph Kaduma, and I'm the Director of Programs and Operation for Tanzania Early Childhood Education and Care. We are a small community-rooted organization focused in addressing developmental delays of children, especially from low-income families, and we are targeting children from 0 to 8. In our programs, we have seen that it's important in making sure that children thrive in learning, health, and psychosocial well-being. Involving the fathers is one of the catalysts to make sure that children reach their full potential. And we have further inclusive approaches in childcare, whereby we have a childcare learning hub where fathers are actively engaged and gaining parenting support with their children and enjoy free play. And through this hub, we have been able to provide education through the components of nurturing care framework. And this has helped many fathers to be at the forefront of supporting children, especially involving through play, which was seen like something that is impossible for fathers to do. But now they're engaged in play with their children when they come to the childcare learning hub. And we made this session very practical, where we want fathers to demonstrate how they can engage with children and making sure that they support them cognitively, but also emotionally, which is very essential for preparing them for school, but also preparing them for life challenges. But we also include the fathers in the early stimulation hub, and that one of the pictures you can see, that is one of the stimulation hubs we have in collaboration with the public clinics, where we emphasize on fathers' engagement. And through this space, the fathers can actively engage with their children and play with their children. And because it's the collaboration between TECEC and the government through the healthcare centers. We have different promotions where the fathers get first attendance when they come to the clinics with their wives and their children. So this has motivated the fathers to be actively engaged in the program as well. And this is one of the strategies we are using in collaboration with healthcare providers to make sure that fathers gain the support they need when they attend the clinics with the mothers. Also, we have the 30 minutes campaign, which highly encourage the fathers to spend 30 minutes in a day to engage with their children through play, talking with their children, singing with their children to build strong bonds. And currently we are promoting fathers to take time also to read books with the children. And we have provided books to the community to make sure that the fathers use the 30 minutes and use the books as a tool also to engage with the children, apart from engaging in play, engaging in singing, in reading, but we also the book gifting project has also been one of the ways that supported the fathers to engage with children, especially in this campaign of spending 30 minutes with their children in a day. And we highly motivate the fathers because we go to the families and see the fathers engaging with their kids and learning book reading through providing training through the home visiting program also has been one of the ways that encourage the fathers, because we are providing support to the household that didn't have even one book. But now they have books to engage with their children and use it as a tool for learning and prepare children for school readiness. But it's not just for the young children, but we also encourage fathers to spend time with the pregnant mothers and making sure that they actively involved in supporting them in early stimulation, like reading the book together with the mother to the unborn baby, or playing with the unborn baby, in actively using these 30 minutes, because we understand the aspect that the fathers are busy with the economic activities, but just using their 30 minutes in a day, it's more impactful, and it has provided a lot of good outcomes in terms of stimulation and really helping children in their psychosocial well-being and their cognitive skills. But we also support fathers in providing free and low-cost early learning and playing materials. And we do this through the home visiting program, where we provide fathers with training on how they can develop learning materials which are low cost. And you can see from the picture that is one of the our beneficiary father engaging with his little daughters, playing. Just you can see it's just an egg tray, and we have put colors to make a puzzle that the children can use and really support them to learn colors, but also help them in problem solving skills. And their fathers is at the forefront in supporting the children in learning. And the good thing, we have the father here. I hope we can spare a little time for him and to come and just witness on how he's actively engaged in the program. But also TECEC, in collaboration with the local community leaders, it's one of the ways that we engage fathers through the Baba Bora campaign. And in this campaign, we involve fathers we make sure that fathers are actively engaged in childcare and early learning at home, and supporting them to become the ambassadors of other fathers and mentors of other fathers. And you can see from the picture, those are one of the fathers that are champions, and they are ambassadors in the community in terms of childcare. We wanted to shift the stigma and make sure we highlight the fathers who take care of their children in a good light, that they are making a difference in their children's lives. So the Baba Bora campaign came to support the fathers, instead of just having the stigma in the community, we highlight them as the champions, we highlight them as the ambassador to make sure they are at the forefront of taking care of their children and making sure they reach their full potential. And why father involvement? Father's involvement is scientifically proven that it really helps children to have outcomes in cognitive, emotional, and behavioral change. So that is why we highly encourage the involvement of fathers in taking care of the children, because it has good outcomes. And you can see that the children who grew up in a stable family, they tend to have to be mentally stable, they tend to be confident, they tend to be more social, because they are from a stable foundation where they learn the interactions, they learn on how they can actively be part of the family, and seeing the fathers involved, it really gives them the courage of being good, also being good examples of these children in these families. And this has really helped many children and many families to learn from this program that stable families really groom children with great outcomes in terms of cognitive, emotional, and behavioral. And you can see also this is one of the pictures with the family that we are supporting, and the father is actively engaged with the mother after gaining the knowledge of how his involvement is important in the family. And we're really proud of this family. It's one of the family that we come far with them, because the father was really deep into the cultural beliefs, but now we see him shifting and supporting the mother in tending the household, but also in tending the children. And it really gives us courage to keep involving fathers, because all they need is a little bit of encouragement from people like us, and they can take it from there and make impact in their families. But we also don't shy away from the elephant in the room, that there are some barriers that really limit fathers' involvement. In our program, often it's because of the stigma and isolation and cultural norms, because we are operating in the Sukuma community in Mara and in Mwanza region, but we're also implementing in Mara region, which they are one and the same communities where culture norms really place fathers in a space where they don't see like nurturing children as part of their responsibility rather than the mother's responsibility. So what we are doing in our programs to make sure that we shift that norm, and we really educate the father on the why it's important for their involvement and why they should be involvement in their children. And we believe every father out there has love for their families, has love for their children. They just need to understand, because it takes time, because they grew up in these norms. So just shifting them from what they believed, shifting them from their worldview, it takes time, because it's a gradual process, because they have to learn and understand the science behind, the importance behind their involvement in childcare. We address these barriers through the programs mentioned, like the Child Care Learning Hub, the Baba Bora campaign, and the 30 Minutes campaign has been one of the interventions that are at the forefront to make sure we support the fathers, and we create spaces that are safe for fathers to also highlight the challenges they face during the childcare. And I've seen from the Childcare Learning Hub that the fathers have one-to-one discussion with the mothers, and we have identified some of the problems in the families. Like the fathers most of the time feel like the mothers themselves are part of the barriers of them actively involved in taking care of the children. Most of the time when the father takes time to carry the baby, the mother is like, oh, you're going to break the baby. So those are the things that discourage them as well of taking actively part, especially helping the mothers in changing the diapers or just spending time with the child. So they also, these spaces have also helped the fathers to vent their challenges when it comes to collaboration with the mothers. And we've seen some of the families now actively engaged, actively solving their own personal family problems, such as that, like the mothers not giving the fathers enough space to nurture their children. So these spaces have created a net for the fathers where they can also give out the challenges they see in the family and really support the mothers in their families. We also, the way forward that we see, we have built strategies on how we can also increase the father's participation. And this has been a round of partnering with local leaders, clinic and community groups, because we believe it takes a village to raise a child. So partnering with local leaders has been one of the ways that we see that really increase fathers' participation, because fathers tend to believe in the mobilization of the community. They're actively involved in many things in the community. So when the local leaders are involved in mobilization of the fathers, has really worked positively in our programs, and we've seen it. We've seen more fathers coming to the programs just because the local leaders are involved, because fathers, they believe in leadership. So that was one of the ways that we also leverage in actively including fathers in the program. But also scheduling flexible timetable for the fathers' availability in the program is also one of the ways that we have leveraged. And we've seen most of the fathers having time in the Saturday and in the morning. So that is one of the way we also leverage their flexibility of the time. But also through the home visit or meeting them where they are, like having session in mtaa to mtaa or street to street. This is one of the ways we also find the fathers where they are and have discussions on childcare. This is one of the ways we also leverage to actively involve the fathers in the program. Also, engaging male facilitators and father role models, such as the fathers that I displayed earlier. So this is one of the ways from the Baba Bora campaign. It is one of the strategies that really worked out for us in making sure that we involve the fathers in the program. But also practical, hands-on learning is one of the ways we also motivate the fathers, because as I mentioned before, we involve fathers in play. So just involving them in play, giving them the benefits of play, like you need to take care of yourself first before even you take care of your own child. So through motivations like that and topics around also managing stress and managing mental health, it's also been one of the aspects that really strategize the male engagement in our program. But also training fathers in income generating skills. That is one of the things that we use as a strategy to leverage what we are currently doing, because you cannot give a blind eye to the importance of the economic stability when it comes for fathers of taking care of their children, but also nurturing their children. They need to be mentally stable, and most of the time men feel stable when they're able to provide for their families. And this is one of the ways we also leverage through the income generating skills to support the fathers and making sure that they are not only generating income, but also using the 30 minutes to learn and play with the children. Recognizing the fathers publicly is one of the ways also we leverage, because we have seen the stigma in the society. So how do we remove that stigma? Is to making sure that we provide an alternative, like highlighting the fathers who are actively involved in nurturing their children in a good light, like they are the champions and they're making an impact. And offering regular follow-up and home visit and peer group discussions is one of the strategies that we use to make sure that men are actively involved. And now that time is up, I would like to invite Mgala. She will just have a very brief testimonial from the father involved in our program. And he is one of the champion fathers that we have, and we're really proud of him and the work he's doing at home, making sure that he spends time with his children. Welcome, Mgala.
Hello. Hi, my name is Mgala Mgini from TECEC. And here we have Mr. Maspana, who is a parent. And I'm going to ask him what parenting education has helped him to come closer to his family and his kids. Mr. Maspana, please. Elimu ya malezi imekusaidiaje kuwa karibu na mtoto wako?
Imenisaidia kuwa karibu na watoto wangu, tunacheza, tunajisomea na watoto wangu, hata pia na upendo umeongezeka.
Mr. Maspana is saying that parenting education has helped him to get close to his kids and his family through book reading and playing. Yes, thank you so much. Eliza, you are muted. You're muted.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I am saying thank you so much, Mgala, and asante sana Baba Dickson kwa kupata nafasi ya kujumuika nasi siku ya leo. Tunakushukuru sana. So I was just saying thank you to the father for taking time and coming here and sharing this experience with us. Thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth and the TECEC team, and the father who was able to join us. Thank you for this presentation. Lots of takeaways. But what really stood out to me was just how much you emphasize working with local leaders and linking father engagement with practical hands-on tool and even income generating activities. So that was pretty interesting to hear. And across both of the presentations, we heard about the importance of mental health sessions, flexible scheduling, and father focus groups with only male facilitators. So it's interesting to see that across both the sessions, there were also some patterns that were beginning to emerge. We don't have too much time left, but we did want to spend a couple of minutes on solutions and way forward. So earlier we had planned for this to be a Zoom breakout activity, but let's just do it as a large group discussion. We're going to very quickly present our Zoom whiteboard, where we're going to send you to share 2 questions with you on just sort of way forward. On the first question is around what would help you overcome challenges you face in your parenting programs. Do you think more resources like toolkits would help, or case studies on innovations would help? Do you think we need to do more of these peer learning circles? Do we need to do more case clinics where you bring in sort of your challenges and brainstorm it with your peers? Just curious to hear from you, and these are just some indicative suggestions, but curious to hear from you on what do you think are certain things where you would need support to overcome some of the challenges that you articulated, which from the previous discussion is largely around the socio-cultural piece and a little bit on the structural piece, but it seems like a lot of us are already trying to address that through flexible scheduling, through these father-focused workshops, etc. So really curious for you to go back to the initial breakout group discussion that we had and really help us think through what support would help you break some of these socio-cultural norms. And the second question is around if you've come across any useful resources, tools, reports on father engagement. And this can be from your own program or any other report that you have come across or resources that you have come across. And if you could just very quickly drop in links for that in the chat as well. We will just do this for about 3 to 4 minutes more before we wrap up the session and open the final poll for you. If meanwhile, while others are putting in their responses, if anyone likes to come off mute and even share something, that would be great as well. But if not, I'm going to just give you 2 minutes of independent reflection time on this question. If you're having trouble with the whiteboard, you can also just use the chat and I can populate it for you in the whiteboard. Feel free to use the chat as well. I think a couple of people are struggling to use the sticky notes. So please feel free to use the chat as well. I see a lot of requests for toolkits. If you want to specify or if you have thoughts on what specific areas would these toolkits be helpful, for example, Mel, just if you could also just give us that second level of detail if you have any thoughts. But otherwise, this is pretty great to get us started thinking on this topic as well. Awesome. Thank you everyone for sharing this. Sorry we couldn't spend a lot of time on this, but if you have any thoughts on where you might need support, please feel free to directly write to me on email as well. But it seems like there are like lots of interesting ideas around toolkits and case studies. So we'll revisit that a little bit further and come back to you if we have any more clarifications that we need. And thank you for sharing a whole bunch of resources. It'll be super exciting for me to deep dive into them afterwards, but I'll also collate all of them and share it with the larger group. So all of you have access to that. But this brings us to the end of the session today. A big thank you to all of you for joining and engaging so thoughtfully, and to our speakers for sharing snapshots of their work. We will, as always, be sending out a takeaway email with discussion highlights, resources, contact details. So please watch out for an email from me after the session. Also, I think my colleague has just opened up the poll. If you can begin to take this poll, it will help us improve future sessions. If you have taken the poll, please feel free to log off and have a great rest of the day. But thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. And we're excited to extend this learning series a little bit more, and hopefully we're going to see you in the last session as well, which is scheduled for 1st of July. I'll send you more details on email. Thanks, everyone. Have a great rest of the day.
Thank you, Priyanka.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye.